possibly led that process, yeah.
And is that why they ended up with no community interest?
They set the criteria they chose to prioritise and to give the scoring. You can go onto our website, you'll see at the end our website, you can see the document there. There is a document and the scoring is there. So it's set a certain way, and the problem is that it excludes the community and it excludes the people who need it. Okay?
Sorry, just you said the criteria were mostly about money, but there's one about tourism. I mean,
yeah.
What are they expecting in that?
They want to bring in tourists, and if you weren't attracting a large number of tourists, then you were given a very low score. It starts off talking about visitor tourism, but further down the criteria where it scores, it says, a low score if you are not bringing tourists into the area. I think that they should have looked after the community first before they looked after the tourists. Because if you get it right, then the tourists will come if you preserve it.
And what's the weighting on the criteria?
It's actually all there on our website. If you go into important documents,
What is your website, sorry?
It's WordPress. Saving Necarne at wordpress.com. It actually will come up on the last slide. Okay, so that's good. Okay, so now I'm going to hand over to Hugh, and then we're going to have more chance for you to input what you're concerned about.
I probably got involved in Necarne because I was sort of the vice chairman of the local sort of Salisbury Necarne Castle Street community group, and probably with actually the changes happening in Necarne many as regards to walkers back at that time. We actually had several meetings with the council, and probably one of the first ones that came up actually when we went into talk about rights of way was obviously the structure of the castle, and the structure is obviously in a bad condition, and under heritage they are legally bound to look after and maintain it. Certainly at that time in the meeting in the offices in Enniskillen, we were showing the plans for putting a steel structure into the castle to save the structure, and at that time we were told that in the next sort of 6 to 12 months that would be completed, and we're probably now like 3 years on, and I think it's just gone to bed somewhere at this stage. I actually think probably at this stage they're probably trying to pass that responsibility on to a potential person who's making an expression of interest as such. And I probably would be talking from the community point of view, obviously, and looking at the council. There were obviously probably three sort of options that were sort of going on, and one being that okay, the council keep it, and obviously it's a heritage thing, therefore so it should be funded by, say, the council and maintained by them. Obviously at that time when we were talking, they were potentially looking either to sell the property or to give it to someone to lease as such. And probably in talking, and probably in some of the things that they've done over that period of time, you sort of see the interest they have in the community. And the first dealings we had with them was that they actually sold part of the property to a developer as such. And our interest in the community point of view at that time was that the old road that just used to go into Necarne, which ran from the Bonacre down to the castle, which was called the back road, went through the middle of that property. We had discussions obviously with the council, obviously why this right of way was now gone as such. We had no problems with the developer in any way, but we actually suggested to the council that they could actually give a new pathway down, and in other words move the right of way onto their own property and put a new path between the tennis courts and the boundary of the property that's sold. And that went over, and then the next thing we discovered that over the space of a weekend, well, first of all, obviously the developer closed off his property, and people in the local community kept breaking down the fencing that was going up and continuing to walk along it. And this followed closely by the about close probably to 600 or 800 tonne of filling arriving onto the site. And on the council property, we actually ended up with a mound which was about 100 metres long and 10 foot high and 10 foot deep. So it was obviously to totally block people going down that route. At that time, we actually reported that then to the Northern Ireland Environment Agency, and technically it was illegal dumping by the council, and quite quickly after we reported to the agency, the council actually removed the mound in total. So I suppose to this day, obviously that path's now lost to the community, and I actually think while we would want it back at the end of the day, either with an alternative route or the existing route. So certainly there was no, at the end of it all, certainly the local community totally lost out on it as such. The other option probably has been obviously leasing, and under leasing obviously the property went to Dard, and I think that obviously the Agricultural College, which is meant to be the centre of excellence for farming in Northern Ireland, when you see the way they maintain Necarne, I feel sorry for the type of farmers we have coming out, if that's the standard they have to keep to. And anyone will see walking around it, just things like bridges falling into the river, you know, the guttering is like flower boxes with the amount of weeds coming out. There's fencing, actually the wind's actually blowing the fences over, because it's just that rotten. You'll get electric fencing wire lying down, it's still clicking all the time, and dangerous as such, you know. You'll find bins in the hedges never put back again. I mean, lights at night down, for example, I'd say about 10% of the lights that are meant to work just don't work down there. The drains are obviously blocked. I don't know what the internal building is like at all as such, you know. I think in general, really, with Dard over the period of time, they've really just sucked the assets dry down there as such, and there's been no reinvestment back in the property. And I actually think the council and Dard are sort of shirking on their responsibilities and hoping to move all these problems which have come from lack of neglect by both bodies, to move it over to some private person to take it on board. Personally, I can't understand why the council aren't submitting a very long list of all the problems to Dard and asking them to be fixed in their own interest and in our interest as taxpayers. I would have thought they should have been doing it, and even from a safety point of view, they should be doing them. Okay, I actually think, but over the last period of time, I suppose the famous sort of Ulster says no in Necarne. I think in Necarne it's Dard says no to anything that goes up there, and I think that lots of groups are being told no, we can't do this, and whilst I hear this from other groups, I probably didn't realize it until obviously I'm a scout leader with the local scout group, and over the summer we were taking our kids on a sleepover, and we asked could we camp overnight in Necarne, but the word no came back again just, and we actually ended up moving about 20 foot to the left, which was the other side of the hedge, into the forestry, and we had our night away. Shortly after that then we were down with another group and just doing like a nature walk with them, and we were approached and told that if we were going to bring kids into Necarne, that we would need to have our own insurance for cover with them, which isn't a problem from a scouting point of view because they are all covered. And then it was further told us that there were restrictions where we could take kids with Necarne, certainly in the back of the walled garden, and out to the left-hand side of the castle we weren't even taking kids out there. So at that time, I actually asked them, look, unfortunately I said, well, we're going to continue what we're doing, and until you put it all in writing to us, we will keep doing what we're doing as such. I think that, I actually think at the end of the day, really, it's depressing, really, the way the state of the property is at this stage, you know. And I think certainly from the local community point of view, and trying to keep the asset for ourselves and for the greater tourism as such, I think we need to find out where we can walk in Necarne, what we can do in Necarne. And I think we need to do this through getting public rights away through Necarne. And for that purposes, I think in Northern Ireland there isn't actually too much public right-of-ways because we haven't asserted those rights-of-ways. And until we assert those right-of-ways in Necarne, then we can decide what we can do in Necarne as the general public as such. And in order sort of to, I suppose, originally when I got involved in this, we probably took it so far, but I think actually the difficult thing, well, was the difficult thing about asserting a right-of-way is you, in order to assert a right-of-way, you actually have to do it through your district council. There's a countryside officer that looks after it. But at our time, the difficulty at that time was we were trying to assert a right-of-way with a council officer against the council as such, and we found at that time originally that it probably was the officers changed several times at the very start, and we probably let it go as such, and didn't push it on further. Okay, and I think that so really what I really want to get from all of us really at the end of the day is that I've actually brought along information gathering sheets, which are for a public right-of-way investigation evidence form, and probably you've got all the different groups, whether they're running or whether they're cycling or equestrian or whatever groups that there are. Obviously there's lots of groups I don't know about because I'm not involved in them. It's important that we get someone from each of those groups to maybe take a certain amount of the forms and get them filled up within their groups as such. We can certainly help you with sort of what the filling them in. There's not rocket science. It's just mainly about asking you where you walk in Necarne. It'll ask you how often you have, and it'll look for sort of the time that you've been doing it for as such. And with that will come a map, and certainly on the map I've actually marked some of the routes which personally I use with my groups, and I think a lot of the walkers would probably use, and that's important as well. And I think for the rights of way, we're probably looking for people who probably have been using Necarne for more than 15 years, so a certain amount. Adults like myself, not a problem at the end of the day, but I think even like younger people who are here just need to take a form home and talk to their parents, talk to their uncles, talk to their aunts, and fill up the forms. And I think it's just really by doing these sort of things, we're obviously asserting our interest as the public in Necarne, and we're actually putting it down under statute at the end of the day, so it's there for the community. It's a fantastic asset that we have, and it's a shame that, you know, moment that with the expression of interest that, you know, they're going to potentially different parts could be broken up as such. And I think if in the future if anything want to be done, it's important that we keep Necarne as one. And really as well, I think it should be kept totally in public ownership as such. And that's me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hugh. That was brilliant. As I say, Hugh's a lot of experience of trying to establish the rights of way, and maybe getting led on a bit of a merry dance trying to get that sorted. But can I just point out to you here what Hugh has got ready from, what's the name of the officer in the council who gave you these? Imelda Necarne, whose role it is to be able to help people to get the right of way sorted out. So as you can see, there are how many forms? 200 forms here. So if you are in a walking group or any particular group, then come and speak to Hugh at the end and get the forms, get the maps, get the guidance, and you know, don't miss this opportunity to claim what is rightfully yours, because